Hey everyone, Games Apprentice back with another Evercade video, and this week I'm going to be looking at the TOAPLAN Arcade 2. I hope you like shooters. The first TOAPLAN collection was above average or decent at best, and you can check my review of that out here. While you're there, maybe click on subscribe. That was very shooter heavy, and so is this one. There were 8 games on that, there's 7 games on this. Here they are ranked from worst to best. In last place is Wardner, a platform game where you shoot fireballs at weird creatures. One hit kills you unless you pick up the cloak, which allows you an extra hit. I love platform games, but arcade platform games generally suck, and I really did not like this one. That annoying repetitive music will probably haunt my dreams forever, as well as the irritating dying sound effect. Playing this game and now rewatching myself play this game brings out a rage in me that I didn't know existed. The combination of music, sound effects, the design and controls apparently creates a perfect concoction to piss me right off. At its best, it's a dull generic platform game. At its worst, it's a rage-inducing monster. Next on the list is Demon's World. It's a side-scrolling shooter platformer for up to 2 players. You can shoot enemies or jump on their heads. There are things to like about this one for sure. It's got a double jump, which I'm always a sucker for, the music is pretty decent, and the sprites are big and cute, and it's got some mildly entertaining animations like the guy's glasses falling off and spinning around upon death. An animation which I sure saw a lot of. Its biggest issue though is simply that it's boring. There's not a great deal to look at in the background, there's rarely more than 4 enemies on screen at once, and there's just too many times where there's none or just one on screen. The gameplay can be frustrating due to some of the ways that you're killed. Numerous times I'd jump on an enemy's head and instead of me dying because I'd missed or the enemy dying because I'd landed it, we'd both died. The same situation occasionally happens when shooting. You'll fire your gun, kill an enemy, but you'll still die because it touched you even though it was dead, like some weird creepy ghost. Stuff like this just makes it feel clunky and not precise enough to be enjoyable. If you like shooters where you control a helicopter or plane and fly up the screen, then you'll love the majority of the games coming up on this cart. The best looking of those is Fireshark. Fireshark almost feels like a bullet hell shooter at times due to how small the screen is. Unfortunately though, the controls aren't quite as tight as I'd expect from games in that genre, making it really difficult to dodge projectiles. It's another one-hit death game, so this means that you'll end up dying a lot. You can whack in endless credits to continue from where you died, which is nice, but obviously this takes away most of the fun. On the plus side, the music is good and there's some cool looking animations and power-ups, but it's probably just about the worst in this genre on this collection. The other 2 coming up are pretty similar to each other though, so you might find yourself playing this one more than one of those. Twin Cobra, another shooter that's a bit more zoomed out, and you can move the screen left and right, giving you a lot more room to maneuver. It's got some nice music and sound effects, and while it is difficult, it doesn't feel infuriatingly difficult, although power-ups do often feel like they're trolling you at times by running off towards the enemy. Its main problem really is that it's just so generic, nothing really makes it stand out from the pack, and I feel like I've pretty much played this game multiple times on the Evercade already. If your Evercade collection is a lot smaller than mine, then maybe you'll enjoy this one more than I did, but if you're going for a complete collection like me, at this stage you probably won't get much time out of this one. Back to planes now, and this time with Twin Hawk, which is my favourite of the 3 within this genre on this cart. Again, it feels a bit generic, with the main thing that makes it stand out being that instead of a standard bomb for a special attack, you call in a fleet of planes that fire alongside you until they get shot down. It's something a bit different. The main problem with this one is its lack of a continue catch-up mechanic. It's an odd one for an arcade game, as usually they try and entice you to continue, but Continuing in this one would have just been a waste of money. Starting from the beginning, you get a natural progression of weapon upgrades and the enemies seem balanced towards those upgrades. However, if you continue, you lose all those upgrades and the game doesn't quite seem to be in a hurry to give you any more, making starting off from the start the more sensible choice. It's an okay game though. If you only own this Evercade cart, then Rally Bike probably isn't going to be your number 2 pick on this cart. The previous shooters are probably technically better, but if like me you've already played a lot of this stuff in the Evercade, then Rally Bike feels like a breath of fresh air. Rally Bike is a fun little arcade racer. If you touch anything or anyone, you'll crash, and everyone else racing seems to be more than happy for you to plough their bike into yours, and they'll risk their lives to steer right into you. They all seem to be on suicide missions, just hoping to take you out. It's fast, fun and challenging. The main annoyance is that it has a fuel mechanic. Once you're out of fuel, it's game over. So you'll constantly need to pull in for refueling. This is particularly tough as you don't see these refuel bits until you've zoomed past them. So you need to make a mental note of where they are for future playthroughs. It's hard, but it's a fun game, adding some much needed variety to this cart. Easily, the best game on this cart is Hellfire, and it's my Evercade Gem of the Week. This one's a horizontal space shooter that looks good and it has a cool soundtrack. While the ship design is pretty generic, enemy designs are pretty unique. Speaking of unique, its gameplay style is what makes this one stand out the most. In Hellfire, you have to quickly switch between 4 different guns, shoot forwards, backwards, vertically and diagonally. On its own, this will be mildly more interesting than normal, but what makes this so good is how the enemy and level design is built around this mechanic. You'll come across enemies that can only be shot from a certain angle, and perfect placements with the right gun that allows you to clear out multiple enemies at once. It's definitely one of the better and memorable sci-fi shooters on the Evercade. For me, it's hard to call the second TOAPLAN collection a disappointment, because I wasn't exactly overwhelmed by the first one. Hellfire was a pretty cool game, and Rally Bike is something I would like to go back to, but I'm not really interested in playing a couple of generic shooters again. Like a lot of these collections, these 2 games probably could have been better curated onto one cart. I'm not generally a huge fan of 80s shooters. If you are, maybe you'll like this one better than I did. There's definitely a lack of variety on this one, but for the positives, if you've got the Evercade EXP, you'll enjoy the Tate mode on some of the games, and if you've got the Evercade Versus, then you'll enjoy playing 2-player on some of them. If, however, you've still got the original Evercade, for those reasons, I'm going to score this one an above average 5.5 out of 10. As always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video and it helps you make an informed decision on whether you want to buy this or not. Don't forget to like the video and click subscribe for more of my content, and hopefully I'll catch you next time.